I'm Stuart Reid. I'm an editor at Foreign Affairs magazine, and thanks to the generous support of the Pulitzer Center, I was able to work on a project about a country that has received scant international attention, Gambia. I've written an article for The Atlantic that not only serves as a profile of the leader of this small West African country, but also tells the story of a group of Gambians, some of whom were also American, who launched a coup attempt in December 2014. Gambia is a small country. It's surrounded on three sides by Senegal, and it's home to fewer than 2 million people. In the decades after independence from Great Britain in 1965, Gambia was not without its problems, but it did gain a reputation for stability, for having a multi-party democracy, the rule of law, and the country had even outlawed the death penalty. Then, on July 22nd, 1994, the country experienced a military coup d'etat. It was led by a 29-year-old lieutenant named Yahya Jammeh, who was little known outside the barracks. Under Jammeh, society in Gambia began to contract. Newspapers were shut down, journalists and activists were harassed, and some of them even disappeared. Elections were held, but the political playing field was anything but level. The regime also has resorted to violence. In the early to mid-2000s, a group called the Junglers was formed. According to a defector from the group whom I spoke with, the Junglers were and are responsible for assassinating perceived enemies of the regime. Now, naturally, a leader like Jammeh has generated considerable opposition, especially in the Gambian diaspora. My article focuses on a group that called themselves the Gambia Freedom League. Beginning in mid-2013, this group began planning an operation to topple Jammeh. Its members hailed from Minnesota, Texas, Georgia, Tennessee, Kentucky, and elsewhere. And the military brains behind the operation was a man named Lamin Sanneh, who had served as the head of Jammeh's presidential guard before falling out with the regime and fleeing for the suburbs of Baltimore, Maryland. The members of the group held conference calls to discuss their strategy, and they bought weapons in the United States, which they smuggled into Gambia in barrels. In late 2014, the group assembled in Dakar, Senegal, recruited some more members, and then entered Gambia. After a few false starts, they ended up attacking the presidential palace. But the operation did not go as planned, and 3 members were killed. 1 was captured. Once the Americans in the group came back to the United States, they were arrested by the FBI for violating the Neutrality Act, a 1794 law that forbids Americans from taking up arms against foreign countries with which the United States is at peace. My hope with this article was to use the narrative of this failed coup attempt as a window onto Jammeh's authoritarian rule in Gambia. After all, to understand why these men risked their lives, you first have to understand what they were up against. Thanks to the Pulitzer Center, I think I was able to do just that.